First of all, welcome everybody. I'm so excited to see this many people on the call. We're so happy that you joined us. We are, again, appreciative and excited to be working with all of you and for all of the great work that you guys do. We are offering a couple of fun incentives, and I wanted to share those really quickly with you. One is our 2017-18 matching funds for those of you who are working towards becoming our True Blue chapter. And basically, in a nutshell, and we sent this out in a news flash, but just to reiterate, those chapters who are raising money for replenishment grants, we are going to be matching those funds up to $5,500. That's a full scholarship, and it is for replenishment grants. So any money that you raise between April 1st through March 31st of 2017 to 2018, and that's new money raised, will be matched up to $5,500. And so if you are entering your events into the website and you've got your 4 True Blue activities and you're staffed and you've done your great activities that you've been working on and you become True Blue, then we are going to match those funds. The other exciting thing that I wanted to share with you is this great incentive that McKay and Chris, our controller, just let us know about. And so I'm sharing it with all of you tonight. We will send out a news flash with this information as well. But what we're doing is because we want all of our chapters that are new, who are getting activated again, who might not be coming True Blue, but we still want you to attend conference this fall. And our fall conference is our training conference for our chapters, our chapter chairs. And if your chapter chairs can't make it, just to send 1 or 2 people from your chapters to the fall conference. We really are wanting you to be there. So we've come up with a fun incentive, hopefully for all chapters, to participate in. And so what it is we're asking you to do 4 things. And basically, again, we're really trying to get you guys to get your chapter staffed. So if you can get your chapter completely staffed, at least 4 positions, update your 2017 events and the website, because we really want to try to advertise these events for you via our web page and through BYU Today. And we're trying to come up with some other ideas to get your events more in the eyes of the alumni in our area. Also, we want you to complete your yearly report, not the financial report, but the report that's due by August 30th. And basically, again, going into Alumni 3, filling out your report, your events, all that information, and then commit to attend conference. Then what we'll do is we will give you each of your chapters $500 for travel expenses. So what you would do is you can go on that link that you can see on the screen, and again, we'll send this out. You can send us your receipts and we will reimburse you up to $500 for fall conference. And so it's really a great incentive. This is also for those chapters that are True Blue as well. So again, we really want to emphasize getting staffed, getting your events put in the website. If you guys do all of this, we are going to, again, give you $500. So it's kind of exciting. Hopefully everybody will take advantage. If you have any questions, we have a website set up, an email set up called chapters@byu.edu. And I know a lot of you have asked, hey, who do I contact? How do I ask questions? This email is really probably the best way to send an email, and you can address it to anybody, or hey, I need help, and then we will respond back. So it's chapters@byu.edu, and then we can hopefully answer some questions here at the end if you have any. So Kelly, are you ready to go back to you?
As Wendy said, this is the contact number that you can sort of reach any of us at, and also an email. So if you want to hurry and take a screenshot or whatnot, you can always contact us at these numbers to direct you to the right place. And so now we'll get to the presentation. So I have 5 minutes to talk about fundraising, which isn't enough time. So what I thought I would do is sort of share with you 2 or 3 of the tools that I use when I start developing a fundraising plan to give you some ideas. And in the future, we'll have trainings to sort of get more into depth and into the weeds about some of the fundraising thing. So the sheet in front of you is just a spreadsheet that I use, and I just put in some examples in there. And the main thing I want you to look at is sort of the columns, right? So we have objectives, goal, audience, description, and measurable. When I'm creating a fundraising plan, I like to sort of make sure that I have all of these pieces before I start getting into the nitty-gritty and the actual planning of the event or the fundraising drive, etc. And so one of the nice things is with your objectives, it's nice to make sure that your goal and your audience description and your measurables are feeding into that. So it's just so that you have clear objectives and purpose. And then with the goals, is you're going to have different goals depending on what you're doing, but this sort of gives you a way to just think about it. And again, like I said, these are just examples, and it's just a way to start thinking about how you want to fundraise. And then audience is important because that will influence how you do advertising and marketing, and then also when you're developing a pitch to talk to individual donors, sponsors, and people. And then just a basic description and measurables. I know a lot of people are scared by the idea of measuring something. I think even if your baseline's 0, it's great to have a goal and also to see if you're progressing the way you want to. So if you're not meeting those measurables, maybe you need to go back and look at some of this, what's going wrong there. So I think that's an important part in having measurables. So that's where I start when I am creating a fundraising plan, and you can definitely adapt it to however you want to do your chapter. The next thing I like to do is sort of brainstorm with the people I'm working with about funding sources. And I tend to break out funding sources into 2 different groups, individuals and corporate. And so I would talk with, your committee and whatnot, who are the individual people who would be great for donations, or the individuals who would be great at helping with events, and think, are we using them now? And what's the likelihood of volunteering if we make the ask? And sometimes you can make the ask even though the answer may be no, because then you can have a follow-up is, well, can you connect me to someone? And so if I do this, this gives me a chance to start people that I can ask for money or ask for help. And the same thing with corporate, right? Start thinking, who are the people we know at big businesses? Do we know any liaisons at large businesses? What are the local businesses who tend to have their name on everything? So you can start thinking of some matching grants, sponsorship. And then also, of course, in-kind donations. What grocery stores are going to give us free water? And so those are things I think about is just what's in my area, who are the people, and what are the businesses that can help me with funding. And the very last thing, and I actually think for me, when I'm doing any kind of fundraising, this is the most important, is to have a spreadsheet where I have notes about all of the people that I'm making asks to, whether it be a sponsorship, a donation, or a helper. And then to have some key notes about that. So obviously you have the email, phone, and the connection. Like it could be a name that I don't know that person, but my vice chair knows that person. So I want to make sure that I put that on the worksheet. So when that name comes up, I can be like, how can I make that connection or make the ask? And then again, affiliation, right? You're going to approach a BYU grad much different than you would a community member or business. And this all helps you when you're starting to make pitches and think about questions that you can ask. As I said in the last training, I think it's really important that you know the person well enough that you know what kind of ask to make, and understanding your connection and their affiliation help you with that step. And then also I like to know that the funds have been recorded, what they've donated, or if the task has been completed. And then even more important is, have I sent you the thank you note? Have I sent them the required documentation? And then also specific preferences or any other kinds of notes, right? This is someone who said no, they can't donate now, but can donate in the future. Or this is a local business who said, you know what, we've already sort of met our community goals for the year, so reach out to us. And so this is sort of an important place to say, to put the notes. So I know that this is a lot of information, and we'll have trainings in the future that looks at this more specifically. But it's sort of a starting place when I think you're fundraising and it's an overwhelming word. These are sort of 3 worksheets that can help you break it down. And one of the things that I have started talking about with this is is sponsorship. Seth Killingback of the Nashville chapter has done a great job with sponsorships, and he is going to talk to us about some of the things he's done. So Seth, can I turn it over to you, and you can unmute yourself and show your face if available, and then let me know when you want me to play the videos.
Great, thanks, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for having me on here. I have to disagree with that. I don't think I do a great job on fundraising, and I know there are a lot of you that probably do a much better job than I do. But I will confess I'm surrounded by some really good people out here in Nashville, and I will share with you what we have done collectively, and also welcome your ideas. And so I've divided this into just a couple of sections here, and I don't have a lot of time, and I won't take a lot of time. But the first thing is identifying sponsors. And I think, you know, it's probably obvious. We try to start with business owners, executives, preferably those with BYU ties, that we identify. And then sometimes alumni or friends will recommend other people who may not have BYU ties, but would be willing to help us out. So we go after them. Once we've identified them and approached them, kind of just like as missionaries, we ask for referrals. I've heard it said misery loves company. And so we'll ask them, a lot of times if they're donating money, they say, oh man, well, you've got to hit up somebody else, or they'll hit up somebody else for us to donate money as well. I do not like asking people for money. I'm not good at it. But there are people who are very good at this. You identify your good schmoozers in your chapter and let them go and use their talent. You know who those people are that know everybody, that have no problem asking for anything, not at all in a tacky way, but just have no qualms about doing that. Let them use their talents for that. And we've got a couple in our chapter that are really good at that. That'll just call up whoever and ask for help with fundraising activities. Something we're doing this year, we have a big fundraiser, a gala that we do in the fall that we did last year, and we're repeating it this year. And we put together a prize. We have just for an example, we have a football helmet that's been signed by Jamal Williams and Taysom Hill. And so we've offered that as a prize for the person who raises the most funds for our gala this year. And so there's some healthy competition there of people wanting that helmet. Offering tiers of sponsorship, you know, there are people that can afford to donate more and people that can afford to donate significantly less. And so we have tiers. We've identified our tiers as Platinum Cougar, Gold Cougar, Silver Cougar, but you can obviously do whatever you want with that. I know some chapters with their activities will have a name sponsor. For example, I don't know, the Cafe Rio BYU Alumni Golf Tournament. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but I know some chapters have done that, and I think that's a great idea. With the lower tiers, you know, smaller level donations, that often encourages individuals, people to donate individually. The other thing is in-kind sponsors, people who may not be willing or able to donate money, but have services that they can donate. At our blue and white ball, our gala that we do for our big fundraiser annually. This last year, we had a music sponsor who came and set up all the music equipment and DJ'd for us. We had a graphic design sponsor who was willing to do all of our invitations and create the design and the logos for that. We had a printing sponsor, a catering sponsor who provided some amazing cupcakes at cost. And then those who donate to silent auctions and things, if they can't make a financial contribution, but they're willing, they have something they can offer that we can use to raise funds through a silent auction, and that went very well last year. So that's how we go about identifying our sponsors, or how we've done that in the past. The second thing, like I said, I don't like to ask for money, but I'm willing to try to make a deal with somebody, try to give them value for what they're giving to us. Something, and I can't take credit for this because one of the other chapters I heard of at the chapter conference maybe 2 years ago was talking about doing this. And I loved the idea, and that was to invite some of the sponsors to be on the replenishment grant selection committee, whether those are current sponsors or prospective sponsors. And so we implemented that this year, and we had a current sponsor as well as a prospective sponsor, someone who we'd like to groom into a sponsor, and got them on the committee so that they can see where that money goes. And often I think they'll see maybe there's a lack of funds and maybe be more willing after they read some of the applications to want to be a little bit more generous with what they have. We try to plaster their logos. Kelly, if you can show that first, it's the golf tournament T-shirt.
Yep.
We did and thank you for doing that. I'm not very tech savvy, so Kelly is helping me out a ton with this. I'm not even on the computer. We did a golf tournament a couple of years ago, and we had the T-shirt, and those of you who run races or do golf tournaments or anything like that know it's common to put sponsors' logos on the back, and so we did that. And that hadn't been done out here before, and the sponsors were excited about that. They were excited to have their logos on the shirts that are worn, that people are still wearing around town. And so we try to plaster their logos. We have banners and posters and sponsor boards at our events. We invite them to put up flyers or put out flyers highlighting what they do. we try to recognize them verbally as much as we can when we have our activities, and thank them in public so that they feel like they're getting some advertising in return for their generosity. We let them advertise themselves. Typically at our events, at our fundraiser events anyway, we'll do goodie bags to all the participants. And sometimes our sponsors will put in coupons. We had a golf tournament where a local chiropractor who was a sponsor printed his logo on golf tees and gave those out to all the participants. They'll put flyers or brochures, catalogs about what they do, and we'll put those in the goodie bags and just try to circulate them. And like I said, just trying to give them some value. One of the things we did, and Kelly, this may be the reason she asked me to do this, if for nothing else, we did a couple of promo videos. We invited our sponsors to work with us to put out some promo videos promoting our blue and white ball last year. And we asked the sponsors to be in those videos and to promote it and to have fun with it. And so I think, if Kelly, if you could just show a couple there's one from Sonic and then there's one from Jamba Juice.
Okay, here they go. The sound is a little iffy. It will get loud and quiet, so be prepared.
Hey, Dub, you getting your tickets to the blue and white gala?
I've got them, but I hope you're not going to dress like that, Blake, for real.
Why? What's wrong with this?
And then do you want me to do the second one too?
Yeah, if you'll do the Jamba Juice one too, that would be great. Thank you. And these were both filmed on iPhones with minimal investment in technology.
I still can't believe you're wearing that to the blue and white ball. You're going to stand out and everyone will stare at us. Of all the things you could have worn to the blue and white ball, you chose that? Something red?
You know this is my best color.
Lady is dancing with me. There's nobody here. It's just you and me.
Your outfit does have a certain appeal.
Strawberry fields forever.
Anyway, thanks Kelly for showing those. You know, we had fun with those. We put them on our Facebook page. We emailed them out, and just again, we just had fun with it and tried to advertise our sponsors a little bit more. We have a Bentley, Maserati, Rolls-Royce dealership here in town that sponsored us, and they've sponsored us a couple of years. And when we approached them about doing a video, given their clientele, they wanted to do a much more classy video, and so they had a professional video that they put together with they had a drone flying over and some great cinematography and really did a great production with that, and we circulated that, and we did some others, and you can check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/BYU Nashville, and you can see some of the other videos that we did if you're interested. But again, we just tried to give them value for what they did. We tried to show them or give them an opportunity to advertise for themselves. And the last thing, and Kelly mentioned this, and I think that is showing appreciation and gratitude for our sponsors. Big believer in thank you cards, a handwritten thank you card from someone on the board, thanking them specifically for what they've done and telling them a little bit about where their funds were used. When we send out our scholarships or replenishment grants, we send them a letter afterwards, kind of highlighting the recipients and letting them know where their money went. The You Are the Why things that Wendy did that she showed us last fall, we loved those, and so we begged Wendy, and she was wonderful. And she was able to help us out with securing some of those lights, the light up Ys, and the cool tags that she did, the gift tags. And we gave those out to our sponsors at our gala, and we've given those out to a few other people from time to time when they've gone above and beyond. To our Platinum Cougar sponsors, those are the highest level sponsors that we have. We gave them all autographed BYU helmets, autographed by the coaching staff at the Blue and White Ball, just as an extra thank you. These are things they weren't expecting. We gave them Christmas gifts. We found a local vendor here that makes collegiate logoed camp chairs and coolers and tents, that sort of thing, and they were having a clearance sale. And so not a huge demand for BYU out here in Tennessee, and so we were able to get some of those really, really cheap and gave them out as Christmas gifts to some of our sponsors. We found out in January that Ty Detmer and some of the other football coaches were here in Nashville for a coaching conference that they do annually, and they were looking for an alcohol-free venue to watch the national championship football game, and we were able to set that up at a member's house here in Nashville. And then we invited, it was the last minute, but we invited some of our sponsors, some of our main sponsors, to come and watch the national championship game with Ty Detmer and Reno Mahe and their families and some of the other coaches, and that was cool, just to try to say thank you and show our appreciation for what they do. The last thing, I think the last picture that Kelly has is a t-shirt. Somebody may not be on mute there. A t-shirt that someone did, or that we had a graphic designer in our chapter put together, with just a Nashville BYU logo. It has a guitar pick and the Cougar, and we went through the BYU licensing office, and they're super easy to work with. We got the t-shirts approved and printed them, and we've just been handing those out to some of our sponsors and selling them as well for a fundraiser, but handing them out to sponsors and just saying thank you. And so again, I don't know that we do a great job, but those are some of the things that we have done to try to identify sponsors and to try to give them something in return, and really just to show our gratitude. So I'd be interested to hear what everybody else does too, because we're always looking for more ideas to recognize our sponsors.
All right, thank you so much.
That's all I've got, Kelly.
No, thank you. That was great. It was nice to see something creative and a little outside of the box. So I'm going to turn the time over to Roy, who's going to quickly sort of go over through some of the rules with finances with fundraising. So over to you, Roy.
Sure. Okay, one of the things, something that often happens is I get these questions about, gee, somebody wants to give us money. What do I do with it? So we've put together a couple of screens here. It's all on one page, and we'll have this on Chapterpedia. But there are just a couple of very simple scenarios about what you do when you're collecting money from donors. So we're going to go through those fairly quickly. First, direct donation. This is probably the easiest and the most common. People just want to give, or you're asking them to give, and they want to know how. So this is the way to do it. Tell them, give them this link, give.byu.edu/chapter. And once you're there, they can go to the little search line, and usually just 2 or 3 letters of your chapter name will find the chapter, and you'll be able to recognize your chapter. And it will say, for instance, Nashville Replenishment Grant. It will usually say Replenishment Grant, something like that, but it will be the Nashville or Boise or whatever chapter we're talking about. They just need to click that add button, and that adds that name to the donation page. So then they just go to that donation screen just up from the search engine, enter the amount of donation, and then they'll ask you to select the method of payment. So they can pay by cash, by check, by credit card, or by e-check. E-check is the best for especially large donations, but e-check can be used for any donation as well. For those that are not familiar with that, that is simply a bank-to-bank transfer. And so to do that, they will need a routing number and the account number of their checking, and then that can be made. Then they just complete, they finish the rest of the questions and submit it, and it's done. Philanthropies receives it, they record it, they send out a notice and tax notice and everything else. It's all handled. That money within about a month comes and it's in your accounts here, and I track those and follow those. So that's, like I said, the most common and most direct way to do it. The second way, this is when somebody walks up to you and hands you some money, cash or check, but in most cases it's going to be a check. So 2 things you can do with that. You can just collect those and send them in to me, and I will walk them over to Philanthropies and get it recorded and handled. So that's the simplest way. But if you have a local bank account and you want to deposit those, you want this donation into your local account, that's fine too. Here's what you do. Make a copy of the check. That is by far the easiest way for LDS Philanthropies to know what's going on, is to have that copy. So please make the copy. Then on a separate page, record name, address, contact info, donation amount. So make a record as well as a copy of the check. Then send both of those to me. If you scan it, you can just send me an email or mail it, whatever. And then again, I will deliver it to Philanthropies, and it will be recorded as if it were a donation directly to BYU. As long as it's in your local chapter banking account, that is very possible. Also, notice I said provide a W-9 from BYU if requested. If a donor or a sponsor of sorts does want that, some sort of a tax record, that's fine. Just ask me. I can send that to you very easily, and you can provide that to them. That does happen occasionally. Not every sponsor wants that, but some do. The third thing, and this is what Seth mentioned, gift in kind. Now here, there's one thing you need to do, and that is you need to determine if that donor wants the donation to be recorded as a charitable donation to BYU. Many times they don't care because they are often going to deduct that as a business expense or some other type of expense through their business. And so it doesn't matter to them if it's recorded as charitable contribution to BYU. But if they do, here's what you do. Obtain from them something, probably an invoice, something that can verify the value of the gift in kind they are giving. And then on that invoice, instead of having the total due, it should say something like donated or donation or free or something like that, just so that, but what we need is to verify the value of that gift. Then you do the same thing. Make the record of the name, address, contact, donation amount, send that all to me here or the staff, and we will make sure that Philanthropies gets it and it gets recorded. And again, we can provide a W-9. So those are the 3 most common things. Now there's one more thing you need to understand. For those times when you have a sponsor that is sponsoring one of your events that is specifically a benefit event. So this might be a sponsor for like Seth's gala or a golf tournament or a 5K, some fundraising meal that you might be doing, whatever it might be. If they would like that donation recorded as a donation to BYU, then in this case, there's one more step you need to do, and that is you need to verify what the value of the benefit to that donor is. So for instance, a donor that joins you with a sponsorship of $1,000, and it's a golf tournament. That's great, but as a part of that sponsorship, you're giving them 2 golfers to play and a meal and maybe some marketing. You're preparing a sign for them to put on a tee someplace. All of that is a benefit to the sponsor. So you need to determine and tell us the value of the benefit that the sponsor received because of their sponsorship of your event. because the donated amount is above the amount that they gave you, or that, excuse me, the benefit that they received from you. So again, the example of $1,000 sponsor, maybe you're providing them a golfer and a meal and some marketing, and it's worth $200. That means their donation is actually $800. It is not $1,000 because they received a value for their sponsorship. We need to have that recorded. So that's the one thing you need to remember when it comes to sponsorships, to pay attention to the value that the sponsor receives.
Thanks, Roy. We're a little over time. What I would ask you to do is you can hurry and send me any questions you have, and I will answer them over email and just send the emails to the group. So use that chat button at the bottom and you can start sending the questions, and then I will answer those questions in an email. So I just respect your time and know that you want to get back to your live. And then as an announcement, the next video training will be September 7th. And also we have the upcoming chapter conference October 5th through 7th, which we're really excited for. We're already started planning all of that. And I'd love to sort of see all of your real faces versus your computer faces. So I encourage you all to come to that. And then our next quarterly training will be September 7th at 5 p.m. So I will get that to you. And Seth, I'll also be sending you some questions that people may have with the quotes that I'm getting. So, and we'll get those questions answered in an email. So thank you very much and good night, everyone.